So a few days ago I made a statement at the channel about these right here. That's a pair of Converse that we're tying out with Bandulu, and I said, you know what, Converse might just be the third biggest brand of the channel, especially when you think Nike one, dominates the sneaker landscape completely, and then followed by Adidas. Maybe 90% of all sneakers out there are Nike, 9% Adidas, so the final 1% is a mashup of all the other brands. And I said maybe Converse is the number 3 for this channel for the number of shoes I've brought to you, but I wouldn't mind betting Reebok isn't too far behind. And the Reebok mids, the question mids, which is one of the shoes in today's pack, is one of the big shoes at the channel. I would say I've done maybe 5 or 6 of these Reebok question mids. And then on top of that, we've got a second shoe coming along here, which is the classic leather Legacy. And they're two very, very different shoes. It's all about a tie-up with the brand First We Feast. And they're calling this the Hot Ones pack. But if you look at the Legacies on there, you can see that there's a totally different feel to them. Yes, to the question mids with the Hot Ones, but when it comes to the classic leather Legacies, it's all about being cool and being cold. So there's something else going on there. The spicy that is the question mids is definitely something else when it comes to the leather classic. So we'll get into that. We'll have a look at the two shoes, look at all the branding on there, the different materials, some classic amazing materials that go into making up these guys, some interesting hits on the branding, and then get into what it is that's different about these two shoes and how they make one of the great, excellent packs to come from the Reebok line in recent years. So without further ado, let's get into this and have a close-up look at the Reebok question mid and the Reebok classic leather Legacy Hot Ones. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channelです。毎日のチャンネルで毎日見てください. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And I'm having a little laugh. There's an inside joke kind of going on, and it's all about some of the rarest shoes in the world. And it just occurred to me that when we talk about Reebok, it's always a good idea to jump to these right here. An odd-looking shoe, and what's even more odd about it is it's a collaboration between Reebok and Kanye West. These are Reebok Yeezys, some of the rarest shoes in the world. I think 50 of each pair were made, and there are 4 different colorways, so a total of 200 of these Reebok Yeezys. And we've had a look at those in hand and up close, thanks to our good friend Shoe Butter at the channel. So when it comes to Reeboks, that's about as rare as you can get and about as unusual as you can get. And then today, though, we've got these two shoes in this pack that's tying up with First We Feast. And there's some elements of the shoe where the branding sort of comes through from the collaboration. Other elements that are interesting, unique takes on the both shoes, but then also the standard kind of makeup of those two shoes. So there's an interesting lot of stuff to go on in both of these guys. And we've got that Hot Ones, which I'm comfortable saying the Reebok question mids are, because it's all red and yellow and about that kind of hot, spicy feel. But then are we going to call them the cold ones on the other side of things? Because the Legacies are very much cool and icy, whereas the question mids are hot and red and popping. So what we're going to do is look at both shoes. A couple of interesting places on there where you've got some interesting features going on. I talked in yesterday's video about how I'm not a huge fan of mismatching in my shoes where you get kind of clashing contrast. So in the case of these question mids, there's an awful lot of clashing contrast going on in there. Now, like I said, I've looked at quite a few question mids, and usually there's a real kind of smooth line that runs through the whole shoe and tells the story of the shoe. But these guys, is kind of jarring the way that the colors sort of bang off of each other. So what we'll do is we'll have a couple of looks at some of the things that are going on there. The yellow outsole is a really neat place to start with that. So hopefully on the green screen here we'll be able to sort of zoom in on that. And it's important to talk about the yellow outsole in terms of what it brings to the shoe and how it is different to the red upper. But really what I want to do is draw a line between that outsole and then go into the mid-foot branding on the upper and ask that question whether or not they're the same color, because I feel like the mid-foot branding is a bit more gold than yellow, and I don't know if it's because they wanted the outsole to be gold and they just couldn't get it, and this yellow is the closest they could get to it, or if they couldn't get yellow on the upper end to match the outsole, or if it's deliberately different where they've got yellow down below and then gold in the branding up above. So, but staying on that branding and zooming in a little bit, hopefully we'll get a sense of what's going on the materials. Now we'll do the materials first, and then we'll get to that one feature on Reebok question mids that you always have to pay attention to, and not many people do, and hopefully it'll be a surprise to you when I say it coming up in the next couple of minutes. But what we're looking at is tumbled and pearlized uppers on these guys. I think that's how you say it, and hopefully it's showing up on the green screen here and you get a sense of the quality of these materials. These are premium leather uppers, so they're taking it to a next level. Already it's a very iconic basketball shoe from Allen Iverson, one of the most famous players of all time, usually made with some of the best quality materials. But these are not just best quality materials, they're premium materials. So hopefully that's showing up on the green screen here. And also what's on the green screen is the answer to that question. And have you noticed that thing to keep an eye out for when you look at Reebok question mids? And what I'm talking about is they often, if not always, have some kind of interesting play going on in the eyelets. And they're not really eyelets because they're loops that the laces run through rather than holes. But having said that, if you already picked up what I'm talking about, hopefully it's coming into to sort of focus on the green screen up here, that you can see that loop that houses the lace. In the case of these guys, it's got the fire on there to go with the First We Feast kind of food sort of chicken branding style that goes on with the shoes, kind of barbecue feel. Now that's a great place to look on question mid. Sometimes the 6 loops spell out Reebok, 6 letters of Reebok. Sometimes it's something unique like this, and sometimes it's just pure blank and there's nothing on there. So in the case of these guys, it's a great tiny little touch of detailing on that lacing system, on those lace loops there, to sort of raise the shoe up just a little bit. Speaking of tiny details, the final tiny detail to look at on these guys is to go around to the back. I found it really hard to get a good picture, but hopefully what you're looking at here is a sort of picture that gives you an idea of that First We Feast branding on the back of these guys, and give you that Hot Ones feel, the whole spicy chicken and spicy feel to this shoe. And that's a really good place to finish up before we go over to the other guys, which is the classic leather legacies. So leaving the Hot Ones behind, totally 180 degrees in the opposite direction, we get the classic leather legacies, and it's all about coolness. And I'm going to start up high and zoom in on the tongues here, because I have a big question about what's going on the tongues there, and whether or not that's a water droplet to keep that kind of feel of the cool vibe going on this pair in this pack. And I'm pretty sure it is a water droplet, but definitely let us know in the comments down below if you know more about that than anything else. But the main features, the 2 main things I want to zoom in on this shoe, both come on the lateral side and both have to do with branding. So hopefully what we're looking at here is the lateral side, and we've zoomed in on the Reebok branding on the lateral there. And the things I want to look at is, first, it's that little rectangle of Reebok branding up high, and it's got a really unfinished feel about it. It's stitched at the 2 ends, but the middle isn't stitched to the upper of the shoe, and it's, you can imagine putting your fingers in behind it. It has that kind of unfinished feel, but I kind of dig it. I think it's a really cool feature on the shoes. But then if you drop down from that, the word Reebok to the actual Reebok logo on the side, that kind of I don't want to say swoosh, because it's not a swoosh, but that kind of logo of it's almost like a Puma logo in a way that's been sort of taken apart a little bit. But what you're hopefully seeing here is a translucent effect, which isn't visible on the medial side. So we'll jump over to the medial side, and you'll see that the Reebok branding on the side there is just a standard sort of feel to it. But back to the lateral side, and you can see that 2 of the lines that make up the main part of that branding logo are sort of translucent and give you an extra feel of that icy kind of cool feature on this shoe. And then even pulling back further out from that, as we kind of get a look at the whole shoe again, now that icy feel is repeated through the patterning on the upper, which has that water effect going on to give you the complete opposite to the Hot Ones from the Reebok question mids. And I do not think these guys can be called Hot Ones. It might be the Hot Ones pack, I don't know, but for sure these guys are much cooler, much more toned down, much icier than the red question mids and their sort of hot hot, spicy feel. So great to see the two shoes beside each other, get that contrast between the two, and give you guys some details about what's going on as far as these are concerned. We're looking at a February 19th drop date, and this video is probably going to be going up on like February 11th or something like that. So 8 days before drop, which is exactly where I want to be. So happy to bring you that content. Love bringing those Reeboks, especially the Reebok question mids, and a few of those at the channel. Hopefully, there's cards popping up here that you can click on to sort of go and have a look at some of the other Reeboks that we've done at the channel. So for now, though, it's time to finish it up. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm comfortably ahead of the game, but I'm keeping ahead of the game and not having that frantic push for content every single day and keeping the daily content coming. So fingers crossed that'll keep on happening day in, day out. For now, though, time to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out the content. I'll just remind you that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.